Good afternoon, everybody. Claire McGee here. Just a final presentation for the community group for this term. And I've just got some slides I'm going to show you about some ideas for what you might want to do in the holidays. And I've also added in some information for some mental health services in case you or your family feel you need to access some services outside. But to begin with, I'm just going to give you a bit of an overview of what we're hoping students will do tomorrow, which is the virtual in the field. Unfortunately, we had to cancel everything for this term, but we thought it would be nice for students to actually participate in something that isn't necessarily their classwork, but maybe they get to see some sites around Australia, but also some other sites from around the world which might be of interest to them. Okay, so as I said, normally we would go out for the day. Unfortunately, we're not able to do that. And so I've got some sites and some virtual tours that you might be able to look at with your children or get your child to look at. You may have to download Adobe Flash or Google Chrome to make sure that some of them work, but you'll see that as you go into the various sites I've listed. So we have a range. I've put some museums up for them because I know in the past many of our students love going to the museums, whether it be the Powerhouse, the Natural History. But I've also put a couple from around the world as well, which have different things available. So the Smithsonian and the Natural History Museum in England. Zoos and aquariums have always been very popular as well. And in particular, I would say that the San Diego Zoo site is very good. It has lots of things for students to do. There's games, there's quests. They can do a whole range of activities, and so I thought that might be interesting. The Sydney Aquarium have a live stream each day, and I think it might be on Friday, tomorrow, that it might be that you're seeing sharks being fed, and also the Taronga Western Plains Zoo in Dubbo also has live presentations each day as well. Our Planet and Beyond, there are a whole range of sites there. So the NASA site, for example, has some games, videos and craft for young people to participate in. The Great Barrier Reef site has David Attenborough commentating, but also there are some documentaries, and he takes students on a journey. So you go around the reef on that particular site, and I thought that might be of interest. And of course, there's always Google Earth, which is usually accessible to lots of kids, and I've always found that one particularly interesting. In the creative and performing arts, there's the Bangarra Dance Company, and they have a load of resources and learning activities around dance, which students might find interesting. The Australian Ballet is actually showing the whole of Sleeping Beauty, but after you've actually watched the ballet, you can also then go behind the scenes and see how the production is put together, and it gives students a great deal of information about what goes on and who else is involved rather than just the dancers themselves. The Art Gallery of New South Wales also has some interesting works to look at, and you can do that from one level to the next, so you can go on each floor of the art gallery and see the various artworks that are available. And I put the Royal Shakespeare Theatre up as well, because in particular our HSC students are often studying Shakespeare, but here it's an opportunity to see some background about Shakespeare's life, but also how theatre companies put together those particular programmes and those plays, and what's involved in terms of creating a Shakespearean world. So that's the things that I've asked the students to do, and I have emailed all of the students and given them that information and that PowerPoint for them to look at. And so we would like them to be doing that tomorrow, so they shouldn't be doing classwork, but they should be exploring some of the wonderful things to see around the world. The next thing I really wanted to just have a bit of an overview for you was some ideas to help you keep your child entertained during the holidays. Not always easy, even when we're allowed out, and obviously being at home has made it much more stressful for students and for all of you, as well as parents and carers. And I've just come up with a few ideas. I'm sure you've got plenty more. We'd love you to share those with us if you could on our Facebook page. If you have really good ideas for keeping kids entertained during the holidays, then we'd like to hear from you, and we'll share them with the community as well. So, things to do. I know many often go away over the Easter holidays. You might go camping because it's not quite winter yet, so it's not too cold, and it still gives you a break. Obviously, not being allowed out and allowed to go travel. Perhaps you might think about camping in the backyard. As I mentioned in my previous presentation, gardening is often something very important for kids and allows them to see something grow. They see something very positive when it's actually a lot of the news that they're seeing on the television at the moment would be very negative and quite disheartening. Having something where they actually see something grow, that they can take control of it, where they feel that they've got the power, they're looking after something, that they're making them feel good about who they are as individuals, can be very, very productive and quite cathartic. Cooking at home, obviously, coming up with recipes, getting the kids then to be creative around those recipes. Maybe they could design recipe cards and share them online with their friends. And maybe you could put some of, if you've got a really good recipe, perhaps put that up on Facebook for us so that we can share that with our community as well. You could create your own board games. I know last time I did talk about board games, playing Monopoly or whatever it might be, getting that out of the cupboard and dusting it off. But having, kids create their own board games, and there are loads of sites that give you information on how to do that. It doesn't have to be complex. It's not going to be expensive. It's just basically pen and paper, or you can download the template and go from there. Evening family games. The students have spent a lot of time recently on laptops, working online. And so it might be nice to have a night where you don't do any of those things, or they turn off their devices. Not always easy for kids, but something that maybe we could push a bit, give them a time to just relax and breathe away from those devices. So I've listed some things in particular. Some of them are quite old-fashioned. Charades is a family favourite for many homes, I'm sure. But I put up a couple of others. One is called Forfeit and the other one is called the Memory Game. And you'll see on the next couple of slides that I've actually provided the rules on how to play those. So hopefully you might give them a go. Not too complex, not expensive, things you just have in the house to help you play those games. Oh, sorry. Okay, an obstacle course. Maybe you could do something outside. Obviously, we want kids to be fit and healthy and doing some exercise. So that's a good way of doing that, and make it a competition, perhaps, if you've got more than one child. Obviously, you need to set the obstacle course that's not too difficult and reflects the age and ability of your children. Or it might be that you have a competition against your kids to see who's the fastest or whatever it is you put up. Make PlayDoh, especially for younger kids, and I have provided the recipe as well for you to make Play-Doh. I know some of the things may be in short supply still, but if you have got some spare flour, it might be able for you to do that, and a bit of food colouring, and it lasts for about 6 months. So you've got it for a while, and the kids actually enjoy making it, and at least what's going into it isn't toxic in any way, so it should be okay for kids to use. I know lots of students love Lego, and there is, of course, the television show where people are in competition and making wonderful and creative Lego things. So I thought maybe that might be something you could dust off all your Lego and maybe have a competition of your own, give them a theme that you might want to look at, and other type of thing that they could be building using their Lego. Scrapbook was another idea. I thought if you've got magazines, newspapers, things at home, you could do a scrapbook of some sort. It could be around, again, a theme or something of interest, or it could be a family scrapbook by interviewing some family members and having students, write notes about what their family members are saying, but also maybe taking out old photographs and putting that together. And that's something that can stay for a long period of time. And I'm sure you could find images online to reflect some of the photographs and the period of time that you've actually put that together, so that it becomes something of value. Okay. Exercise. Go for a family walk or a bike ride. One of the things we are allowed to do is go out to do some exercise, and so I would say take that opportunity whilst you can. Who knows whether things will change at some point. A bike ride and going there as a family means you just get to chat and talk, have a look around, and spend some nice time together out in the open air. You might want to think about creating a time capsule. Things that are going on at the moment, things that are happening in your family. objects that reflect that, and then bury it in the garden and set a time when you might want to dig it up and see what's changed over time. And you can do that, some people leave them for 10 years. Obviously, it's up to you to think about that if you wanted to do that. You just have to try and remember where you've buried it. I know that's always been a problem in my family, we forget. A scavenger hunt, again, it could be that you just lay some clues around the house and have a bit of fun with the kids while they find things. And with Easter, of course, it could usually be the Easter egg hunt is often very popular with families. But even if it's not that, just something for the kids to do, it keeps them entertained, see who finds the most of the treasures that you've hidden, and try to make the clues as interesting and amusing as you possibly can. And again, there are things like scavenger hunts on websites that will give you some ideas of things and the types of clues that you could use. Create your own artworks. Have kids, again, cut up pictures or magazines, create a collage of some sort around a particular theme if you want. They could use maybe some things from the garden as well that they might want to use. If you've got a piece of cardboard, they could then create that as an artwork and maybe put a frame of some, if you've got some bits of wood that you could use to create a frame, have them decorate it, and then they can hang that in their bedrooms. And that's a reminder of some of the things of their own creativity, and it's really important, I think, for students to do that type of thing. Okay, so that's the instructions for forfeit. I'm obviously not going to read them to you, but that just gives you an idea of how to play the game if you want. It's not difficult. It's about everybody gives a personal item to the person who's running the show, the judge, and then they have to do something amusing to get their personal item back. And you, as the person who's running that show or whoever you nominate to do that, is the one who gives them those ideas. And I've listed some things that you might want to do. Obviously, you need to think about that in terms of the age of your children. You need to make sure that everybody has the ability to join in and that it's appropriate for your children to participate. And for the memory game, again, I've just given you the instructions. That's pretty simple. It's actually harder to play than you think. Most of us think we've got a pretty good memory till we try and play that, and then we find that maybe our memory is not so great after all. So that's just another one. It's easy to do. It's about things you have in the home. It doesn't cost anything to do, and I think that's often quite fun for kids as well. And then I've given you the recipe on how to make PlayDoh. Again, fairly simple, as I said. It's just about whether or not you've got those things currently in your larder, but hopefully you have. Or they're available if you happen to be out shopping. But who wants to go out shopping if you can avoid it? All right, and again, just some websites for kids that they might be interested in. There's a whole range of different things there that they might want to have a look at, as well as the ones I've already put up for tomorrow. So there are a range of things for them to do, and hopefully they enjoy all of those things. Okay, the only other things I need to talk about now are some other opportunities. Films. Sorry, I'm skipping. Okay, films. Film night, as I've said in the past, is something that's really good for you to get involved in, perhaps. These websites all have free films, so you don't have to pay for them. You may already have Netflix or Stan or the Disney channels, but if you haven't and you want to have a range of films, these ones seem to be reasonable. Some of them do have adverts that you might can be a little bit irritating, but unfortunately that's just the nature of it because they're actually free. But have a look, see if there's things that you might like, and obviously, I think Netflix and Stan often offer a free trial. But you must remember, obviously, to leave after the free trial unless you want to keep it up, because it's about $15 a month, I think. Okay, and then I've just listed some films, and I know one of the things that students had mentioned recently is that they actually really had a love of anime. So I've put some films on there that I don't know if they've seen, they may not have, because obviously they often are watching anime in terms of Pokemon and the other anime shows that are on the television, but these are just some full-length movies that maybe they haven't seen that they might like. And then obviously there's all the Marvel films available. They're all on Disney Channel anyway, but I'm sure you can find them on other sites as well. And then I just listed a few films that which have a range of themes, and for younger children as well as some older children. and so hopefully that they will be of value to you. But again, if you have other sites or other things that you think might be of interest, please do share them with us and we'll make them available to the community. Okay, sorry, this is what I was going to talk about, but the other thing that's just come through to us today is that Optus, in partnership with ABCN, which is the Australian Business Community Network, are providing some free prepaid data to students in years 10 to 12. Now, there are some eligibility criteria that students need to meet, but we feel this is fantastic, and because we have over 700 students, we think we're going to be able to provide this service to up to between 80 and 100 students. But they must be able to meet the criteria. So I've just put the basic information on here. We will be putting up the full details that Optus have provided us, but I wanted at this point to give you some information so that you had an idea of whether or not you met the criteria or whether your child did. And what we would like you to do is to contact us to say, yes, we meet that criteria, because obviously we don't know everything about you, your families and what's happening. And so things may have changed recently for you. And so it's up to you if you could please let us know. We don't need to panic about it tomorrow, but we will be wanting to gather that information in the first couple of weeks after the school holidays so that we can make sure that we can get access to this as soon as possible and get that service out to our students. All right, so this is just the requirements of participation. Students have to agree as well as families, and they're very clear that if they fail to uphold this agreement, then the service will be withdrawn from them. So again, I've just listed what's required in terms to what the student must agree to, and then on the next slide you'll see that I talk about who is eligible, and you would need to let us know if you meet that criteria. All right, so students' eligibility, it is only for the 3 years, 10, 11 and 12. They haven't offered that service to years 7, 8 and 9. They see it as important for students who are on the latter part of their education, and so that's why they've offered it to those 3 year groups. But that's what's required. Okay, so just a couple more things from me. School holidays, we close as of 3 o'clock tomorrow is the end of the school day and school term for students. And so we are closed obviously on Good Friday the 10th, and we return on Monday the 27th. Now that is a pupil-free day, however, but there will be staff on site. The office staff will be able to answer your phone calls. Some of the DPs will be in, etc. So if you have questions or concerns, or you need to raise some things about access to laptops, all of those things, please ring us and we'll answer those questions for you as of Monday the 27th. Students will be expected to be back online and completing classwork as of Tuesday the 28th. But we'll be in touch, I'm sure, on Facebook or by messages on email to parents to keep you up to date if there's any changes as the pandemic continues or lessons or whatever decisions the department and the government make. We'll keep you informed of those as well. And finally, again, I just want to remind you that if it's going to be a stressful time, that we already know that, if this is prolonged for many months, it can be very difficult. And so I've just listed again, as I did in my previous presentation, some of the services that are there to be able to support you. Please use them. That's what they're there for. If you need to contact us in the next day or so, by all means do so. Or if it's really urgent, please don't hesitate to email the various deputy principals. We will be checking our emails even in the holidays at some point, maybe not as frequently as daily. But if there is an emergency, of course, you always contact 000. But if you just need some extra support, please don't hesitate to call us as well. But there seem to be some of the key ones that we feel will be of benefit to you. All right, well, that's it from me. I hope you find that useful. If you have any questions, as I said, please call the school. I would like to take this opportunity to wish you all a very safe, a very healthy holidays. Please look after yourselves, look after each other, and we look forward to seeing you next term. Thank you.